Hi everybody, we're here in Chicago at one of my favorite places. It's La Casa Norte, which means, I think, house on the north.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I live in LA 26 some odd years and I still don't. Yeah, okay. Never mind. So anyways, this is Sean. And James is holding the camera. He's one of the homeless youth that's helping us. And Sean is the program coordinator. And this really feels like a family. This is a 2-year program, which is amazing, but they also run emergency shelters and some other things. So first, tell me about La Casa Norte.
So La Casa Norte, so Solid Ground is our supportive housing program for La Casa Norte, one of our many programs.
Okay, La Casa Norte is the overarching,
yes, the
and this is
agency.
Solid. Okay,
And so we have.
Thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome. Sorry. So we have various programs to serve youth and families and individuals. And so Solid Ground is our project-based supportive housing program. So this program itself has been open for a little over 7 years. So La Casa Norte has been around about 11 years now.
Wow.
So this program's been in operation for about 7 years.
Wow. I love it. I've been here before, and one of the neat things is you guys just opened the door and just said, here, sit at the kitchen, hang with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty excellent. So, yeah.
So you also run an emergency shelter.
We do.
Can you explain?
Yeah, so that program's actually new. So our first site just opened last month, and that's 10 beds at that location, so it's an emergency overnight shelter, which is connected actually to our drop-in program. So that program is called Casa Corazon. So,
and what does that mean?
So Corazon is heart.
Okay,
right?
got it.
So the casa piece. So
yeah, thank you for the translations.
So that's connected to our drop-in programming, where youth can go and access some basic needs, as well as case management services, connection to other resources. And then our emergency overnight beds are open around 9 p.m., I believe, where they're able to go in, spend the night, get some food, take a shower.
So one of the things I learned last night, I was at the night ministry, and they were talking about you and talking about how the city of Chicago has now funded these emergency shelters throughout the city.
Yeah.
So my first thought is, oh my goodness, homelessness is growing.
Or,
you know what I mean? The homelessness is, I'm glad the city's doing something about it. But to have youth homelessness is growing, that you have these city shelters throughout the place, you know, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really we're looking at the amount of beds that we have in like a 2-year transitional program really just is not sufficient, right, for the amount of youth that are experiencing homelessness. So if you're looking at homelessness not just as, I mean, there's families that are doubled up. There's people that are maybe leaving for a couple months at a time because an issue or crisis has happened. So sometimes like programs like ours, where it's really an appropriate solution, I think, for a lot of youth, there's also this other need, which is more of a shorter term emergency need. So that's, you know, really providing that service for those youth as well.
Well, just the fact that it's growing to me is just unacceptable.
Absolutely
unacceptable.
Absolutely.
Now, what I love about your program, and I want to knock on wood as I say this, is that it is a 2-year program. Because one of the things, you know, I was interviewing during this road trip, I was interviewing youth that have been in 57 placements, you know, and I thought that was crazy. And the next day I talked to a social worker and she says, no, I've seen 55.
Yeah.
You know, and kids get bounced around.
Absolutely.
And you make a commitment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you get to know them.
Yeah.
And change happens.
Yeah.
Every kid that I've talked to here, both visits, is going to college.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really, really that work is a partnership, right? So we kind of provide this space, and the staff that we work with here is pretty incredible in terms of providing some support. But really, all that work comes from them, and working with, you know, adults that care about them and can really support those goals and help connect to resources. But all the work at the end of the day is like James here, you know, Dwayne, who are really incredible.
What do you think the general public needs to know about youth homelessness that isn't being said by the media or anything else?
You know, I think that's a challenge. I think that is really important for people to challenge their perspective on youth and what homelessness looks like. These are our kids, right?
Yeah.
And so the issue becomes is when people are looking at this as like other people's problems. These are other kids. Like these are our kids,
right?
So I think that's what needs to change.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, how do people find you? It was interesting is that, you know, James, who's holding the camera and doing a great job, by the way, he's waving on the other side. And one of the things James said was he talked to all the other youth and he said, come here. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of kids in the world.
Yeah.
So you better expand. But anyways, you know, obviously all the kids in the world can't come here and they should go to their local homeless services. But those of you in Chicago that are in crisis and you're a youth and you see this, how do they connect to your services? Yeah. Or if I want to, let's say, volunteer or donate, how do people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So in terms of youth wanting to access resources through us, really through our drop-in program is the place to start. So that's here in Humboldt Park on North Avenue, and we're also working to open our drop-in center in back of the yards, so that'll be another resource. So really getting information that way coming into drop-in. We do maintain a waiting list, of course. However, connecting with our case manager there, as well as some other staff there. Can definitely do that. In terms of volunteering or donations, Jessica Rodriguez, who is our development manager, she would be
in contact. Yeah. I'll put all the links up there.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for
inviting me into your family,
Absolutely.
Which is what you're doing today. And thank you everybody for following along. This has been a road trip brought to you by Sevenly and Virgin Mobile.
Thank you.